Greetings, Scotty Reed here, Black Talk Radio News. And this is a video response to Shanae Hall, who put out a video that was shared with me. It was sent to me by one of the listeners of our radio station, where she's talking about the NCAA and the student athletes. She shared some information about how these big schools, I guess they're the Division I schools, where those football coaches, and I would even add in basketball coaches, have multi-million-dollar annual salaries. And then she was comparing it to the smaller schools, and primarily, I think she was talking about these HBCUs, which many of them are not Division I schools. And she was bringing up the salary that is far, far less than what these coaches at these D1 schools make. Well, the answer is quite simple to that. The answer to that is that these D1 schools make a whole lot of money. They get a big share of that NCAA money from these basketball tournaments. From now they got a football tournament, and they have these championship games, and broadcasters, these broadcast networks, television networks, cable networks pay billions of dollars. CBS just paid over $8 billion to air the NCAA March Madness basketball tournament, which I have taken to calling the tournament of slaves, and I'll tell you why in just a bit. She also asked a question. I guess she was asking questions. I don't know. But she also made the statement about, why do these black players want to go to these D1 schools, and why don't they just, go to these smaller schools or whatnot? Well, in the world of sports, if you're an athlete, if you're trying to make it to the NBA or the NFL, if you want to become a professional athlete, then you go to the bigger schools, because those are the ones that are on television. You have a higher visibility for those particular schools represented in sports television and whatnot. It's not because, as you state, Shanae, that black people just like or love shiny things. I know you didn't mean that as a racist comment, but if I heard a white person say something like that, oh, black people, they go to these big D1 schools because they got the better facilities and the bigger stadiums and all that, because black people love shiny things. That's racist. If a white person said that to me, I would definitely brand them a racist. And, that's some anti-blackness that we need to address among black people. We say that we make these stereotypic comments about other black people, and then, it's just racist. It makes no sense, and it's not grounded in any kind of truth. So these athletes don't go to these big universities with the larger athletic programs with the bigger budgets and what have you, because they love shiny things like they're monkeys or something, but they go because you have higher visibility. It increases their chances of making it to the pros. Now, student athletes, on the issue of the NCAA and student athletes, I know I said I was going to make a video every day about this issue, but I'm calling for a boycott. Don't watch any of these NCAA basketball tournament games. Let's boycott them. Let's make CBS lose some of that $9 billion that they paid to see that. Let's not go to these games. I actually plan to attend some of the games, not to watch the games, but to stand on the outside of the arena and educate people about the fact that the NCAA cited in a lawsuit which was filed by a former student athlete by the name of Lawrence Poppy Livers or Livers, something like that. But Mr. Livers filed this lawsuit not that long ago. Sean King, most people know he writes for the New York Daily News, but he also does pieces for the nonprofit outlet, The Intercept. And about two and a half weeks ago, he published that in response to the lawsuit filed by Mr. Livers, a former student athlete who was suing them to get them to pay student athletes as work study. Just chalk it up to work study. Give them something. All right. And so in response to his lawsuit, The NCAA filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit with the court citing the 13th Amendment. Why this isn't big news among anybody who is against slavery, I don't understand it. It's some cognitive dissonance. All these people out here commenting about student athletes are not mentioning the fact that the NCAA on more than one occasion has responded to lawsuits by citing the 13th Amendment. Well, what does the 13th Amendment say? Let me just pull it up right quick. I should know it by heart, but I want to make sure I give you the information verbatim. This is what the 13th Amendment says, and this is the response to that lawsuit by the NCAA in saying that, hey, we shouldn't have to pay student athletes work, study, or otherwise. The 13th Amendment says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So you know what that means? You know what that means? That means slavery was never abolished. You can't abolish something and make exceptions for it because it still exists. So you haven't really abolished it. And this is what the NCAA is saying about their student athletes is that, hey, the 13th Amendment allows for prison slavery. So therefore, we're going to cite this in our defense and saying, hey, if the federal government, if the state governments, if the private prisons can use slave labor, then so can we. There should be an outrage about this. I'm just shocked. I'm not really shocked, but I'm just disappointed that Sean King's article is not resonating with a lot of people who claim that they woke. I'm just disappointed that so many woke people don't understand that slavery was never abolished. I don't know if it's because they've never read the 13th Amendment or they're not comprehending what they're reading in the 13th Amendment. This is why I deplore the term mass incarceration, and I refer to it as a continuation of slavery, because that's technically what it is. All right, it's slavery. The masses of the people, the majority of black people, the majority of brown people, a majority of white people are not in prison. Although the United States does have the largest prison population on the face of the planet, it's a continuation of slavery. It's not mass incarceration. Okay. It's slavery. The 13th Amendment calls it slavery. So it's ridiculous for the NCAA to even cite the 13th Amendment, which they've done on more than one occasion, as I've stated, to even cite the 13th Amendment because student athletes have not been convicted of crimes. Okay. But that's how they're viewing their student athletes. They don't have a very high opinion of their student athletes, do they? Apparently not. And this is in writing. This is a legal court filings, a motion to dismiss to the Lawrence Poppy Livers lawsuit to get student athletes paid work study. All right, so I just wanted to respond to that, but we really need to watch ourselves as black people with our anti-blackness. These student athletes are not going to these D1 schools because they like shiny things. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, regardless of skin color, likes nice things. And these coaches at these HBCUs aren't being paid as much as the coaches in the D1 schools. It's because they're not bringing in the kind of money that the D1 schools are bringing in. But I think student athletes should be paid. I do believe it is slavery, and I used to be one. I still do not compare professional athletes to prison, people who are victims of prison slavery, because professional athletes have multi-million-dollar contracts that they could walk away from at any time. Nobody who is incarcerated can walk away from prison slavery when they get ready. And they're not being paid for their labor. And if they are, they're being paid slave wages. All right, so it's been Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio News commentary. Also, remember, boycott March Madness. Peace.